Hi guys, this is David Negrin, host of the Script Podcast and executive director of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. I'm excited to announce that we've created a Patreon campaign for the Script. Patreon is like a Kickstarter, but it allows you to give ongoing pledges every month and receive ongoing rewards. Of course, the Script Podcast will continue to be free, but we're just asking for a little help. We release 4 or 5 podcasts a month, but we'd like to do more. We'd also like to improve our audio quality and release video podcasts with rich content. So here's how you can help. Become a patron of the Script Podcast and gain access to our VIP activity feed with premium content. There you'll be able to communicate privately with myself and my co-hosts after every podcast. You can get a packet of original screenwriting guides written exclusively for members of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. You can receive our monthly tracking board preview podcast for Hollywood insider updates on big script sales and the hottest spec screenplays to hit the market. You can get access to full on-demand video of NYC Screenwriters Collective events, lectures, and panel discussions. At the highest patron levels, you can even request the film or TV series we analyze and come on the script yourself to analyze it. So please, check out all our rewards, join our inner circle. Become a patron of the Script Podcast at patreon.com/thescript.
If you know what it means to be reborn, a Sense8.
A what?
You saw her. But that's just the beginning.
I can feel you. But you're not really here, are you?
You are no longer just you. You will start to feel strange things. Anger and joy and pain. Pleasure without any reason. We have 7 other selves now. You can access each other's knowledge, language, skills.
This is The Script, the official podcast of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. My screenwriters tonight are Christina Leith Malin and Olu Anamashan. I'm David Negrin, the host. For this evening, we're doing TV. It is the first Script TV podcast in a really long time, and we're doing the Wachowskis. We're doing Sense8 from Netflix. Just dropped this weekend. Guys, did you watch it right away, or did you watch it when we decided to do the podcast?
Yeah, I was super excited for it, so I definitely started watching June 5th.
Fantastic. What drew you in? Because I'm interested, because these shows on Netflix are not advertised in the traditional way. You don't see posters for them necessarily. You don't see commercials on other Netflix shows, or then they don't have a channel. So how did you know about it?
I'm on Netflix way too often.
Oh, okay. So you did get like ads from Netflix in between, like. Right. I don't know, recommendation or what?
They have like a original series trailer when you first open up to their homepage once in a while. So that was one of the big things. But also if you like ride the subway often enough, like they do have posters.
I did see one. I think the poster for this is terrible. Like it's like tells you nothing about what the show is. It's really sci-fi shows in general are tough to get people to tune in. So I don't think the marketing for this was really great, but and it's a huge thing for the sci-fi universe, because the Wachowskis are 2 of the biggest names in the sci-fi universe, and Straczynski is huge in the sci-fi universe. If you're a Babylon 5 fan, or if you're a comic book fan, you guys, either of you watch Babylon 5?
No.
I was that
one's before your time, Olu.
I was like, I have no idea what that is.
And be happy about that. Be happy about that.
I like Babylon 5. There was a couple good seasons.
Deep Dish 9. Yeah, there's a bunch of Star Trek spinoffs.
But no. Yeah, you're right. It had it was during the Next Generation and the Star Trek DS9 and Voyager years, but Babylon 5 had its own mythology that I really liked. J. Michael Straczynski was the showrunner on that, and he co-writes with Andy and Lana Wachowski on Sense8 and directs several of the episodes. Andy and Lana, the Wachowskis, did, I think, the second episode, and then the finale. Let's see.
The thing is, so far as a marketing campaign, a lot of models, a lot of broadcast models, a lot of cable models are trying to go digital, trying to keep up with VOD. So I feel like Netflix in itself is in such a great position. They don't have to fight for a couple of hours on ABC because people already love them, and they're already a heavy hitter in the digital market, and certainly on the online arena, that they don't have to like cast a wide net and say please watch, because they've got tons of subscribers.
Now you make a great point. The streaming studio model doesn't require the pilot opening weekend drop to be as huge as a network does, because the network lives and dies by the first couple of the ratings of the first couple of episodes. I think one of the things we can talk about tonight is also the series for the streaming studios are also written differently because of this, because the expectations are not as high.
Commercials, a lot different.
And the binge viewing opportunity, I think the pilots are written differently, and they may or may not be what screenwriters trying to break in should follow. I think there's some good things about the streaming series pilots that we can learn, and there's some really bad habits of the streaming series pilots that we shouldn't encourage, and we can talk about that tonight. But first, I just want to go around and tell me what you think of the series. I think we're going to focus this podcast on the pilot and maybe a little further, maybe the second episode. I don't want to get too much into the series because we want to keep it focused on how do you write an original pilot, and use Sense8's pilot as our case study. So Christina, I'm going to call on you first, if you don't mind. General thoughts on Sense8.
I think you can tell right off the bat it was written by people that have a lot of experience with cinema and the cinematic view, right down to Bollywood numbers, right down to the way it was shot, which is a good and a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it's fresh, it's new, it kind of flips the whole television model, but it's also a tricky thing because you're talking about having a long idea, and I'm on the fence with this because I feel like they're playing this out like heroes, and it's tricky. And
we're 6 minutes in. We got the heroes, connection. Yeah, but it had to happen. Keep going, please.
All right. So the thing is, how do you place it? One of my biggest issues with it is I think it's like when you make a big stew and you have too many ingredients. You're hitting on transgender. You've got a Bollywood theme. You've got gay Mexicans. You just want to tap on so many hot issues.
You've got a police procedural.
Right.
Yeah.
But are you really connecting them properly? Or are you using this loose piece of thread to say that I want to speak to all these issues in my head?
That is
serious to very, you can't go from a little boy in the hood getting shot and almost dying to death to a Bollywood dance sequence. It's strange. It's hard. And just because their minds connect, I feel like maybe in the third and fourth episode they're doing really good. They're weaving it a lot better, but early on, the first couple of episodes, it's a stretch, and they're like, just trust us because we did The Matrix. We're pretty awesome, so just follow us on this trail. Take a blue pill, take a red pill. But I don't know. You can't just say I saw a transgender gay Mexican guy and a little black boy that got shot in the hood. Oh, and an AIDS mother from Nairobi.
Yes.
And they all have the same, and an underprivileged, or not underprivileged, but an Asian woman that's not being treated fairly. All of these tropes, they're like, is it just the mental thing, really?
That's the central issue with this series, is how ambitious they're trying to be with this multi-plot format, right? This is multi-plot. This is multi-plot the same way Crash is multi-plot as a feature film, the same way.
Yeah, I give you Crash is another one. But see, the
Magnolia, like feature films that are multi-plot. You know, you go to Heroes, that was another multi-plot series. I mean, but we have to.
Crash and all the ones that came like not Syriana, the other Brad Pitt one where he's in the desert, blah blah blah. The problem this I have to finish seeing the rest of it. I'm binging.
You're thinking of Babel.
Yeah. They knew where they were going to land, and it was kind of like they already saw the basket woven, and so they just they unwove it with that, and they started at the unwoven.
They worked backwards, yeah.
But they knew where it was all going to land. At the very end, that you were all satisfied, and you saw it all come together, and you knew that was, this doesn't feel like that yet.
That's the challenge with multi-plot, whether it's being told on television in 12 episode Netflix series, or whether it's a 2-hour ensemble film. If you're going to do multi-plot, there doesn't need to be plot integration, but there needs to be at least thematic integration of the stories.
I'll go with them. They could call bullshit on all of us, say until you've seen all 12 of them, leave us alone. Don't podcast about us. But
yes,
and they all need to be serious, or they all need to be a musical. You can't jump between like thematic content like that.
I think you're saying they're jumping between tones. That's
yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that's trouble because all screenwriters have to make sure that their scenes transition tonally correctly, especially if you have even if you're just a feature film with an A plot and a B plot. But if you're
there's always a theme. The theme is the each episode, has like the fighter is the theme for the third one. But there's still like the goof. Well, I'm actually going to retract this, and you can just edit this out, because I actually feel like in the third episode they keep a serious tone, and there's no Bollywood dancing, and even the jokes and the whole Mexico plot it's becoming all more serious. But the first two were just a little all over the place for me.
Okay, Olu, what was your first impressions of the pilot and the beginning of the series?
So I really liked it from the beginning. I think a lot of the tropes that we were talking about earlier, like the go-lucky African with the AIDS mother, and then the quiet Asian woman with but also has fighting skills, like all those tropes started to annoy me after a while.
Right. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that she's Japanese and she can do kung fu.
Right.
I didn't even realize that.
And the Indian woman who's engaged but doesn't love the man that she's engaged to. And I was like, oh my God, why these tropes? So many cool, complex stories could have come out of this, or at least complicate the archetypes a little bit. I don't know. There was just so many.
Agreed. 100%.
There's so many tropes. Every single person was a trope. The cop with the heart of gold with daddy issues. It was no, no.
And we have, and we actually, even though I think the Wachowskis are breaking ground with their trans character, I think they're beginning to use the trope of the transgender character who who comes out and deals with inter LGBT community trouble, as well as acceptance into the world. But
I have a big no on that. No.
You have a problem with that?
Okay, I have a total problem with that, because it's already been done the right way. Transparent, it's already been done the right way.
Transparent was excellent. New black. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's it's not saying, okay, granted, there are tons of black characters out there, good and bad. So yeah, maybe there could be tons of transgender characters out there, good and bad. But if you're close to the world, don't go for don't go for the total transparent, doing it right.
Transparent did it right because they're not harping on it.
They're not.
It's not a gimmick. It's the soul of the story. But I will defend the Wachowskis here, even though I'm the white male and the straight white male on the podcast. If you look at their, I gave it away. And so the their history, if you look back at The Matrix, that was before Lana transitioned. There was a character, they had Switch. Her name was actually Switch. And originally in the script, she was a woman in the real world. And then when she went into the Matrix, she was a man. But they took it out of the script because this was before they had power. And they thought it was confusing. And
I did not know that.
Yeah. And if you look at Cloud Atlas, Lana Wachowski wrote about how the Sonmi character, who was the Asian woman who plays the Japanese woman in Sense8, was a revolutionary character who everyone was. She was trying to change the world's mindset, but there were people there who wanted to kill her and crucify her, and she was sort of representing transgender politics there. And she had a quote that I read online that was, and this, I just brought up Cloud Atlas, and we need to bring up Cloud Atlas if we're going to talk about Sense8, because there's a lot of parallels. But if you look at the idea of being on a body that is not your own, right? There's a bigger theme there that maybe that Sense8 as a series, even Cloud Atlas as a film, the interconnectedness of everyone. If you're a person who is born in a body that's not your own, you could see where the theme of interconnectedness and feeling like multiple people at one time could resonate, and that comes out in Cloud Atlas, comes out in Sense8, and I don't know. So I think maybe there's more to explore there.
I'm not harping on saying it's bad, and I
think they had like a pretty basic like intro scene. Although they had the sex scene first, that was great.
Was it great? I thought
it
was so weird. I feel like
what was weird about it?
I think it was weird for me seeing as just like in the media nowadays, we've heard from like Janet Mock and we heard from Laverne Cox, this like thing around just knowing about trans people and like genitalia and sex and so on and so forth. So I just thought it was really weird if we're pushing this idea of trans issues and what it means to be trans and not really thinking about the physical aspect of that, to have the first scene in which we're introduced to our trans character as being like a super sexual being.
See, that I had that issue too. I have two things I want to say here.
And I'm pretty sure they did like San Francisco, and then there was like
they did
sex, right? Because it's liberal bastion.
This is the problem, though. This is what. Okay, one thing I would have been happy. I'm not knocking. Just backtracking. I'm not knocking saying transparent and orange has more validity, but I just feel like the trans story was so bland, and coming from the writers, I would have even been, if she could have done it, like her story, I think would have made a great plot for her, being someone who transitions during their rise in Hollywood. You know, I just feel like it was kind of a ho-hum transgender. Also, to what you just said about the sex, if you take note in the pilot, and I think a little bit into the first episode, name the gender preferences of the sexualized characters. Why? The gay man and the transgender are the only people sexualized.
We don't know the sex lives of the other people. Okay,
right.
But I'm saying no. But no one's had a sex scene except for a gay man has had a sexualized scene.
You're right.
With his partner, and the transgender opens.
Right. So one of the things on the original pilot checklist that we use at the Screenwriters Collective, there's 8 things that we use on the pilot checklist that you're supposed to do. One of the main things is introduce your core cast, which means you introduce them in a scene that tells us who their character is, what their flaws and their gifts are. And so what you're saying is if you introduce the gay character and the trans character in a sexual scene,
it's not even sexual.
You're marginalizing what the character is. You're limiting what the character is.
I don't mind it. And
to be fair, most of the characters in the pilot were introduced very blandly.
Yes.
Because the other introductions were, this guy's a cop, right? This girl's a DJ. This girl's a businesswoman. This girl's getting married, and this guy, the mob guy in Germany, I don't even know what his introduction was. So most of the introductions really didn't explain a lot.
So does that mean the writers were going to actually have a gay transgender piece, and they had to flower it with straight people to get it accepted? Is that what we're saying?
I wouldn't be. I don't know. Maybe that's their perspective. I think really, look, this is a sci-fi series. We're getting really deep on the character stuff here. The Wachowskis love to do sci-fi. Okay, they love to bring the Cloud Atlas was like their first bite at the apple and doing like an ensemble sci-fi series in a feature film format. So, when you go to sci-fi and you're doing action and you've got spaceships and lasers, character development isn't as important. Although, anyone who watched Battlestar Galactica would disagree with me. But this show is a drama, right?
Yep.
Right.
This show is a drama, so I think the comments we're making on the shallowness of the introduction of all the characters is valid.
I'm remiss. I have not seen Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
then I'll just say Cloud Atlas was an ensemble film. It had a theme about interconnectedness. Actually, the interconnectedness was somewhat emotionally resonant in that film, more so than in the pilot of this series. Did you guys feel that you understood the series just leaving the pilot?
No.
See, I had to.
No, I'm thinking about. I gotta think about it.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, I knew. The thing was, when I heard who the writers on board and where it was coming from, and then the first thing I actually saw was kind of like this new show is breaking transgender rules, blah blah blah. I was kind of, it was a spoiler.
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't know anything.
I totally did. So then I was just like, okay, that's why I defaulted to Heroes. And what I defaulted to was Identity with John Cusack. Just for that whole sense of kind of being in someone else's head.
Right.
But
right.
I think, like I said, what really threw me off was the comedy. The comedy, the Mexican
lightness.
Comedy, the Bollywood, because now I get everything now has a serious tone, but starting off so flamboyant just threw me in a pilot.
In the pilot, all we got from Kala, who's the Hindu pharmacist, was that she's engaged to marry a man, and that's it. We didn't get the Bollywood yet.
Here's another thing. How many Bollywood actors? I have to call this out. There are cajillion Bollywood female actresses, and the fact that you took the same girl that like less than a month and a half ago did the second best Marigold Hotel, did the same freaking dance sequence. Are you kidding me? That's like making Oprah the go-to for every mom and every Tyler Perry. It's like, what? Didn't she just do that dance sequence like a month ago? Really?
Yeah, I mean, we're not getting into how Hollywood casts, please.
Okay.
That's a whole nother shit show. Okay, let's stick with our story shit show here, okay? our teleplay shit show. So, I was gonna say that in terms of a pilot, one of the other things on the Screenwriters Collective original pilot checklist is you need to introduce the series engine, right? Which is the concept that will generate episode after episode of story. And you also need to introduce a season objective, right? Which plants the seeds of what the series engine episode after episode is going to explore, and then finally in the finale resolve at the end of the season. And that's almost completely missing in the pilot for Sense8.
It is completely missing. It's not almost. It totally is.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. We were talking about podcast versus... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Olu, what if you were looking at just the pilot on its own, What did you get out of? What do you think this show is about?
So like just looking from the first like two or like the first minute, I was
No,
like, oh,
the whole first episode.
No, I think it's valid if she takes on like the first 10 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even better.
I mean, the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, like this is about like an assassination plot, and we're gonna like try to figure out who's killing off all these people. But then by the end, I was like, oh, I guess this is just a drama about people connecting with each other.
But wait, wasn't there a movie like Dollhouse or something? There has to be some type of sci-fi original about people that had connected, like the 9 or something, or the 4, or where people had connected psychic.
Absolutely. As there's like a ton of examples, and we start out here with the angel character and Daryl Hannah represents. She can't have enough comebacks for me.
Blade Runner, come on.
Slash, come on. Yeah, and so Daryl Hannah. I mean, our opening image is a woman sort of writhing in pain, and we're not sure. I can't tell whether it's
drugs or sex
or delivering a baby. At some point, somebody said that. They said that, are you about to give birth at some point? I was like,
mm-hmm.
So, and it was in a church, and I was like, oh God, we're doing...
I was loving the beginning.
I was like, we're doing religion and sci-fi. Please don't do it.
They had me at a low. They just lost me.
So you liked the opening?
I was
loved
a huge
it.
fan of it.
Okay.
It was creepy. It was goth. It was dark. It was Daryl Hannah. She was eating like Willy Wonka chocolate bars in a wrap or something. I was all about it.
She was eating Willy Wonka crack bars or whatever.
Little silver wrappers. She had the Indian guy in one ear, like, you can't see me, but you're going to kill you. And then she had the
Indian guy from Lost. That threw me off so much. Because
versus Broadway guy, I love
Lost is another like ensemble show that doesn't make sense, and so I'm like, oh no, this better not be like, a Lost tie-in. So sorry, go ahead.
So wonderful. And then she's like, oh, and then like all these kids had this like blah 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 blah. See, here's the thing. And I would have been on board, although this has been done 8,000 times. If right after that moment, each of these characters started a journey to find her. But they didn't start a journey to find her. They just kind of wallowed in there. Why do I see you boxing? Why am I in Mumbai? Why is it raining? Because it was raining there. But they didn't take off on their journeys.
You nailed it. This is the trouble, I think, with analyzing. And this is not just because the Wachowskis, I think, are a little bit lazy in their success in old age, but because Netflix or streaming-based studios pilots they feel that they have room to do plot development and character development because they assume everyone's going to watch the whole series. And I think it's lazy writing. I think that if you look at a pilot, especially if you're writing, and for our audience who are writing spec pilots, you've got to kick off those journeys after the teaser. Every plot needs to start after the teaser. Great, interesting teaser. Make us ask questions. Don't resolve it. Who the hell is Daryl Hannah's character? Maybe
let's rewind this shit.
Great.
So, like, basically, Berlin dude steals the diamonds because he needs to get out of the country. DJ chick needs to get to America. Mumbai girl, no, I can't marry you because my destiny's somewhere. Everyone needs to be charging towards wherever they are.
Exactly, and all that stuff happened by
a leave of absence to figure out what's happening to him. Everyone needs to go on that journey.
Right. I don't even know what happened to the dude in Nairobi. I know his bus is not as popular because it doesn't have Batman.
This is what I would have laid down. His mom would have died on the spot. Like,
there you go.
He would have totally like taken off for some reason to find a new life in America, like every other.
Christina, you're nailing it, right? By the end of the teaser, we're supposed to begin the journey of each plot, and in Sense8, we begin the plots at the end of the episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I don't know. That's it's about, and at the end of the day, a lot of screenwriting is about density, whether it's plot density or character density. How much are you? And this thing had plenty of budget to keep it dense. I mean, they're shooting all over the world. I don't know. What do you think, Olu?
No, I totally agree. Oh my god, I totally agree with everything.
She disagrees. Okay.
No, they had a sick budget. You're kidding me. Like, the sickest. They had, like, Avengers budget. Remember when Avengers was, like, saying, "Oh, we shot here in Russia, we shot here," and all their, like, behind the scenes for this stupid movie? They had Avengers money. And Netflix finally got play at the Emmys, and now they're like, okay, so now we're making everybody shake in their boots. Now everyone's realizing you can do it in an online stream situation. So we've got it. And we've got it so much, and now Amazon is like creeping up on us because of Transparent and other shows they're doing, like the what's the one with Bernadette Peters, the theater opera thing that's an original for Amazon. So not only is Netflix proving they're a player to the big studios, they're also getting competitions. They're like, how do we up our game? Every company, no matter how hot you are, has to up your game even when you're on top. So okay, the brother and sister team, Lana and her brother, they have this great thing they've been kicking around. They're solid gold. It's always about like a writer director team that's solid gold that people are willing to invest in. Netflix went there. Do I think they picked the best piece just because Lana and her brother are so hot and Matrix blah blah? I don't necessarily think so. But is it kind of a statement piece? Sure. Are they trying to cash in on all the transgender, Caitlyn, Orange, Transparent? Yeah, totally.
I think it's fine that now, among all the stock characters that we introduce into TV and film, that there's a transgender stock character. That's great. And eventually, it'll get as normal as right. The
David, how many prides have you been to? Oh, how many prides have you been to?
I go to the parade every year because I live in New York City.
Tell me
but
you
that's
don't have a
different.
good talk, a good drunken night with some of the most interesting, fascinating stories, people. And so it's like, yeah, we could have stock characters. We could have Oprah and every Tyler Perry. But the next time I go to like Million Man or whatever march on Washington and I get that great story, it's going to stick in my head for something I write. I'm not going to run to the stock, especially when I get a blank check because I'm that good. I'm not going to write stock characters anymore.
Let's look at this. I saw a play once where they were, and it was in the late 90s, where they were criticizing the movie Philadelphia.
Really?
The playwright was a gay playwright who was talking about Philadelphia and how Tom Hanks never kissed his lover.
Hey, what's Philadelphia?
I heard about.
Olu's the young one on the podcast.
Disclaimer.
It's
Clearly.
Tom Hanks' second Oscar nomination.
Denzel
Oscar
Washington.
win. Denzel. Yeah, it was. It's about a lawyer with AIDS and his lawsuit, and Tom Hanks won the Oscar for it, and and so the play that I saw, the playwright was criticizing it as being because Tom Hanks never kisses his lover in the movie.
Antonio
Banderas, everybody who wouldn't kiss Antonio.
Exactly.
So then, but then the playwright also had another character in his play saying, well, look, maybe it was just a movie that so America could see it and say, if Tom Hanks plays gay, maybe it's okay. Maybe it was enough that it.
Pick your battles.
Right? Yeah. Maybe it was enough that they moved the conversation forward that much, and so for us to be so hypercritical of the Wachowskis and the transgender thing, the transgender barriers they're breaking right now, I think it's.
No, I'm going to call bullshit.
We're in the middle. We're in the middle of it happening.
But then don't use it as part of your marketing ploy, and don't make that some of my.
I didn't know it was part of the marketing. That's pretty. Well, that's
not the intended, but I'm saying the PR. So let's just clarify. There's like the marketing where there's the posters, blah blah blah. No, it wasn't part of the posters. But I think somehow in the PR train, like your person talks to that person to get it on that newswire.
That may not even be intentional. We've got Caitlyn Jenner like 3 weeks ago, and they couldn't have timed that. You know, the media.
Are you kidding me?
The media.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm saying the Wachowskis.
Wag the dog.
I'm saying the Wachowskis.
Exactly. That's wag the dog rich. Are you kidding me?
You're saying the Wachowskis are with the Kardashians. You're saying that these
totally
families are working together.
Number one, they said it during I think I'm going to call this, I might be calling out wrong. They use a lot of Pride footage, but when they were on the bicycles, on the motorcycles, it didn't look like the girth of San Francisco Pride behind them. So I think they staged that and used footage to insinuate Pride right there. That's an intentional plug.
Filmmaking.
No. That's intentionally making a statement. You could have
It is a statement for the character. Was it a statement about the series? If they had a series like a poster for Sense8 saying breaking new barriers, but
no, that would be their official marketing team, and there's your PR people that do things on the sliders like, oh, just wait for that to come out, blah blah blah. You can't. And we're in Pride Month. Are you kidding me? We're in Pride Month. This is June. Every single borough has a Pride, and then the very last Pride.
See, I always think Christina is doing is reading too deeply. I think Christina's a little bit on the conspiracy tip, but no, you've got it. Like
always a conspiracy.
You nailed it. I didn't even realize it's Pride Month. Oh my god.
In New York City, it's not Pride Week. We have Pride Weekend, but in New York City, each week is a particular borough, and then it lands at Manhattan.
June is also the TV pilot summer coming out month, just so to speak. There's all the summer shows are coming out this month too. So it's I don't know if there's as much conspiracy there. Let's talk about the show. I thought the strongest plot, believe it or not, to me, the strongest plot ended up being the safecracker one. Did you guys like that?
No.
I thought it was the most interesting. He had
he pees on a grave and has angst for his father.
But then
the Asian woman has angst for her father, and she punches through desks.
Yes,
that was interesting. Yeah,
I was a fan of that.
What was the strongest plot for you guys in the first? Olu, why don't you start off? What was the strongest plot for you in terms of the story and resonating?
I think because I'm African, I was I was really excited about the Kenyan.
We are on the same page. I loved it. Okay. I can say I don't like it just so we have counterpoint.
But
yeah, I mean, I didn't like it. I was really excited for it, but I was like, oh no. Why does his mother have AIDS?
Was it AIDS or was she just sick? Because I just watched the pilot 20 minutes ago and I didn't actually see AIDS. I just saw a sick mother. But you guys put it together. That would be really cliche.
Wait, it is cliche, but okay. Oh, you take this away. I want to piggyback your wonderful call.
I mean, just for me, I'm just so tired of AIDS being this, Africa being the side of AIDS conversations all the time. Not everybody has AIDS. And also the fact that he is again a lower class African male where there could be he could easily have been an upper class male. They easily could have been middle class. It's a repeated archetype.
The bus thing is interesting though. I'm wondering where the bus thing is gonna go.
Actually, that's what made me. That's why it's my favorite so far.
Okay,
and I'm into. Preface it to anyone listening. I'm into the 4th episode.
Okay.
And I have actually been to South America, Peru. When you get off and you're in the airport and you get on those, you give them 2 coins, and there's 8,000 people. They load the bus and they don't move until it's full. So I've done that situation. Loved it. I also loved. I don't know how deep you are, David. But when he loses his mother's medicine,
yeah.
Okay, so that continues. That plot continues.
La 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 la. This is the first freaking time we see the whole, a good amount of the cast interacting to help each other.
Yes, that was a really great scene.
I was like, finally.
Okay, so you're not spoiling too much, but actually what you're giving me is really good information about the series engine. You're saying that every one of these plots is going to continue.
Not every one, but more than one, and it's more than just.
They're not all just going to jump together in episode 2 and be like, oh, we've got 8 superheroes in a room.
No, I'm going to say, and I haven't seen that yet, but I'm going to spoil a little bit for you, David. So
We'll put it on the disclaimer on the podcast. Up to episode 4, possible spoilers.
Okay, so he's driving the bus, only 3 people. The friend's like, don't pick that chick up. This is a dangerous corner. He needs the money. He goes to pick her up. The whole bandit group totally steals all of his money, his mom's medicine, every passenger's stuff. So he basically has nothing, and they take off. So he's like, no, this is my moment. I'm not going to let it happen. He goes after them.
But he was working off the adrenaline of the Asian chick.
That's why is why we're saying
the interconnectedness.
Hold on. He rams their car. He like chases them. But then when he gets out, he basically gets his butt kicked because he can't fight. And then what she just said, he looks up to the lady who is in the ring to fight, and she's having the Asian woman's having her own agenda. And he says to her, help me. And at this point, you see 2 of the characters work together.
That is what we want out of this sci-fi series.
Exactly.
That is the theme of the unification of our beings and our energies. Mm-hmm. And that's actually, there's a quote from Cloud Atlas that there's a great quote from Cloud Atlas that's, from womb to tomb we are bound to others, past and present, by each crime and every kindness we birth our future together.
That so resonates right there.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's why I think Cloud Atlas is kind of like the beginning of Sense8. And
that makes sense.
You guys, one of the reasons I like the safecracking plot in the pilot is because the safecracker, and it was very subtle, but the safecracker is trying to listen, and the DJ...
No, it was the sirens, I thought.
But the DJ is hearing stuff, and she's able... I think it was like her hearing ability... Yeah. Helped him hear the click better and helped him crack the uncrackable safe.
So wait, you just called it this. Okay, I know it's Sense8, like the word Sense8, but the interconnected of the senses. You're right. I never thought it. I didn't really.
That's what I thought is the rules of this universe. The superpowers going on here, the sci-fi element. Yeah, the word Sense8, it means like awareness or something like that, and so Sense8 with the number is a play on that. But I think the thing you're talking about, the borrowing of each other's powers across
and the connection,
the world and the connection.
Like he literally asked her for help. She realized because she's standing in the Nairobi desert, then she kicks all of these drugs.
That's awesome. That is a great series engine. Why don't you tell us that's what the shit is going to happen?
Doesn't happen until the third episode.
That stuff. If you show 2, 3 of those plots already interconnecting and each other working together, knowingly or not knowingly, in the pilot, all of a sudden we've got a great high concept series, and we have some interesting characters, and we're not so focused on the weak character archetypes. We'd go along a lot easier if we knew that this kind of stuff was going to happen. And I like that. I'm so happy to hear that continues and that becomes part of the series.
It made it exciting. 3 totally kind of made me say, oh, right on. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
It pulled me back to the Daryl Hannah moment in the beginning. Like, okay, I get this sci-fi connection. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Because right now I still don't even, if someone could tell me the Mexican gentleman, who's he connecting to and what.
Yeah. I'm so curious about how, they're pairing off, the German thief and, the Indian lady.
Exactly.
So many questions.
Going back to structure, that's why I feel like it's a little bit trickier in the digital world. Because nowadays, it's not the old school days where it's 6, pilot, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're renewing, maybe 12. But now you literally, because we binge watch, because Netflix lands 12 episodes, have to have that as proof positive or proof of concept. You can't You can't have an idea and say, I'm kind of fleshing out a Bible. I'm
No,
basing it
no.
off
I
of
think
General
I think in the
Hospital.
spec market today, even when you're writing for TV, what's generally accepted, and this is what we talk about a lot at the collective, is you write a pilot episode. If it's a drama, it's a 60, 65 page pilot, and you write a Bible that's less of these historically huge Bibles like the Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica Bible is something like 50 pages, but that's because it's an operational Bible for a series that's working. But if you're proposing a series, you do somewhere between a 5 and 10 page Bible, and part of the Bible includes a series description, character descriptions. Why is your series different from the others that have come before it? Why should it be on television? But then, a marketing component to it. But then also a season outline. 100 word description of 10 episodes of plot is enough. You don't have to go write 12 episodes or 10 episodes. But that's why your pilot has to be so darn representative of your series. And the pilot for Sense8 was not very representative of the series. But then again, of course, it's the Wachowskis. And you see this in a lot of the other studio series too. The pilot for House of Cards, right? Even House of Cards was a really big gamble, and it starts slow. A lot of these Netflix series, these dramas, a lot of the streaming studios, even the Amazon streaming series, they start the 1 hour dramas. They stream slow. Their pilots are slow.
No, they don't. They launch a season. So I feel like it's very dangerous to say a pilot and a good Bible. You need a pilot, maybe 1 or 2, so we see what your follow up is, and a good Bible at minimum.
Yeah, I mean, if you're writing a half-hour comedy, you can submit 2 episodes, but I don't. It for a 1 hour.
What else do you have?
What? Yeah, I mean, why spend? It's a lot of work to write a pilot, and a pilot is double duty. A pilot. Now maybe is a good time for me to go through the original pilot checklist, and as I go through the original pilot checklist, I would love it if each of you would say whether we accomplished it, or maybe give Sense8 the benefit of the doubt and say, how did they try to accomplish it? Okay? So, and because we've got about 15 more minutes, so that's great. So I'll go through our 8 original pilot checklists, and then you guys can jump in and say, did they accomplish it, or how did they try to? Sound good?
Yep.
Awesome. Number 1. Screenwriters Collective original pilot checklist: strong thematic opening that introduces lead or main character.
No.
No, definitely.
No, not no. What did they try to do? It's there is.
Oh, you want the answer to what we thought they tried?
The teaser is pretty strong thematic opening. I mean, the theme is
Hannah birthing. Yes,
it's a strong opening.
It's a strong opening, but distinctively your lead mains, because we usually go with like 1 to 2, and there's like 8, and I don't feel like 8 were all strong. I don't know.
They do a little montage after it where it gets really. It actually got me going. After the teaser, they cut to a montage of each of the characters. So they do introduce visually each character, and the Japanese woman is doing kung fu, and I was like, wait, this show could kick ass. It could kick ass if they get right into the journey, but they don't, right? But you don't. Olu, there wasn't like a strong thematic opening for you in the pilot?
No, not really. I think I got lost as to how everything was connected after a while. So I was really expecting like an assassination plot. Like I was expecting to see the dude that was coming for Daryl Hannah's character to like appear throughout the show too. I was expecting somebody to die. Like nobody died.
So there was an opening.
There was some tenseness. I totally agree. There was some tenseness, but it deflated with the 2 gentlemen talking to her and who would get her first, and how that. Well, it deflated, but it kind of landed. But they didn't continue with it.
And it was confusing because we didn't understand the rules of these 2 people
being
right next to her, and then they're there or they're not there, and then the bad guy actually shows up. Right. Oh, here's another streaming studio pilot laziness. They introduced for the teaser a main antagonist in the show, and then the rest of the pilot. Who's the bad guy in this series? What, there's going to be an antagonist. I think we met him. Where did he go? We're probably going to end up. I don't know. You guys are
so they have
episodes in. Does he come back?
No, they do. I think he does, and I might be totally off base.
Are you thinking the physician,
the doctor? Yeah, but they don't explain what. Yeah, give me a little bit about what his angle is, or what he's fishing for. Because right now, I'm going to go with the standard. Oh, he wants their powers, or oh, he wants to dissect
he wants their powers.
You know what I mean? Because
he wants their brains. Yeah,
There's just a doctor. If you had said a chemist, or
maybe he just wants in on the party. He's like, I feel left out. I just want to come to your guys' annual karaoke party in Ibiza. You guys throw like a get together. I just want to come.
You know what? I'm totally trying to figure out which movie that attacks this, but I can't remember. If they had actually done the opening with Daryl Hannah, and then had been like Sight, and then you introduced two characters, and then they were just like Touch, instead of, because they played so hard on showing that they're like all over the globe with like San Francisco, Nairobi. No, if they had hit all the senses. And then for each senses, you introduce a set of characters that would connect. When you're talking about how the safe guy, his sense of hearing and the DJ's sense of hearing probably is acute. So that's how they hooked up. All you had to say is the word senses instead of London.
Yeah.
And then introduce 2 or 3 characters that are going to share or power through the sense of touch. The Nairobi guy and Asian chick, and how their physical strength is going to, that would have been more on it for me.
Yeah.
We're talking about senses. We're not talking, this isn't like Guess Who's in Nairobi TV show. Like they marketed, or they geared it towards the wrong thing for what they were selling it as.
Let me get to the number 2 on our pilot checklist. Introduce core cast, protagonists, antagonists, their flaws and their gifts.
Yeah, I think I got to know some of the protagonists better than others, and I still am kind of unclear as to who the antagonist is, but I think I have a pretty good idea of the characters going in, or who to expect to follow. Yeah,
we talked about whether they introduced them well, but they didn't. They do introduce them. It's a multi-plot film. There's 8 main characters, so they had to do this montage introduction. We don't know what we get a sense of each of their conflicts, their personal conflicts in their lives. We don't know what their gifts are, and we don't know what their flaws are. When you introduce a character in a drama, we want to know, what they're amazing at, why we're going to root for them, and then also what is their character flaw that they're going to deal with over the series. I think the only one I can think of is the safecracker guy has a problem with his dad. I think the
Indian woman has a story now.
The Indian woman has a...
It finally got deep, in the 4th episode.
Deeper? Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, and in the pilot, all we know is she doesn't want to marry her fiancé, and she lives in Mumbai, right? Okay. The Japanese woman is instantly sort of marginalized by her brother, a very kind of a cliche introduction. The actor, like we said, the gay actor, he's hiding that he's not out in Mexico City. The DJ has some past in London, but we don't know what they're good at. We know the DJ is cool at she can spin, she's good for a girl, somebody said at one point.
Well, also she's kind-hearted. Do you remember the thing with the blind guy and well, anyway, she's a good person. She talks about, everyone gets expanded at different points.
And the cop saves the gangbanger, the young kid. So there's some of that.
I'm gonna say I found it. sorry to digress, but
Okay.
Five Senses, and I couldn't remember. I knew it was a Canadian movie. Well, there were different stories that all pulled their thread through
It's a feature film. Is it a horror?
Yeah, it's not at all.
Okay.
It's a Canadian drama about 5 different stories, kind of Crash, kind of was it Babylon, whatever, not Babylon 5, but Babylon,
Babel,
Babel.
yeah.
Babel. Very much like that, where there's different stories, but each of the people connect through a sense instead of just a person or a simple plot device.
And the Wachowskis said no. 5 senses, bull. 8 senses. 8. I'm doing 8. We can do better. We will not. We will overcomplicate this plot if it's the last thing we do. Rule number 3 on the original pilot checklist: introduce the world, setting, the era, and the rules of the universe.
World introduced, yes.
Yeah.
It's our world. It's current time. Olu.
Yep.
I'm still unclear as to rules, though.
Yeah.
I have no idea if like they're moving into other people's bodies, if they're like simultaneously in the same body, are they like touching at this? I'm very unclear as to how they're moving within each other's spaces.
With the information they gave you in the pilot, if you had to write the rules, what would they be?
When there's some elevated act with one of your senses, it connects you to someone you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can think of.
In the pilot, the DJ takes this drug, and
it connects her out.
It elevates her senses. Actually, the guy that they rob in that scene says there's this new drug called DMT. It's an echobiological synaptic network. I love it. I mean, at least they had a little sci-fi in there. Is that a real thing? Can I go buy that? Like,
I didn't see it. I didn't even see the frontal lobe.
From my dealer?
Blah, blah, blah. I don't know about that.
So...
Or maybe it's so advanced that commoners like us don't know, and only the super rich can get it.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Other rules. The angel, the woman in the beginning, did she connect all these people?
She birthed them.
She birthed them. That. Okay, we said she birthed them by killing herself or by like.
No,
no, I don't think killing herself was part of the plan, or I don't think that was like part of the birthing.
Okay. Okay.
Like if she hadn't killed herself, and if she could have gotten out of that space, she could have probably birthed more. And my whole idea, and I kept thinking, maybe is there, how there's the plethora of people in this situation, and there's that one we don't know, the strong one that is the new Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for the Asian chick with the kung fu skills, but like one of them might have the same. What is it that device when they all kind of come and they all have a power, and then the least likely one is the one that has the same power as the mother.
Right. It will be the weakest of the litter. Turns out to be the unifier. Are they aiming for that? A couple episodes in, are stories starting to intersect?
Yeah, but it seems like the cop dude is going to be the leader. At least from like the get-go, it just seems like he's always been the most informed and has the most practice.
The crime scene.
Yeah. But he also has like the
Nomi
character.
Nomi the DJ shows up at the crime scene with him, and he's the first one to witness actual like transport. I guess they transport. Right?
Teleportation, like of
she was
senses or whatever.
Nomi was really there though, or no, she wasn't really there. She just saw, but he saw her, and I don't know the rules.
No, he was the first one to see. I think
they had a convo. They had a convo, and then she disappeared. So she wasn't really there. She was there the way the Indian guy from Lost was there in the beginning. Okay.
He's not just the Indian guy from Lost.
I don't know what else he is in.
The Life of Pi.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
But then he doesn't come back in the series in the pilot either. So
the other hot British guy.
There you go. Number 4, introduce the series engine, the concept that will generate episode after episode. We touched on this already.
Oh?
No.
A little weak on the series engine. We do know
There's no journey.
We do know there's interconnectedness as a theme. We do know that there's some kind of power that interconnects them. What are they? I did not know, and I'm actually interested to hear that each of their plots continue on a straight line, like the Kenyan guy and his mother continuing. That in episode 2 they don't just all show up at the Justice League together and say, "What are we gonna do? Let's go to a casino and bankrupt the everybody with our special powers." So I'm happy to hear that, but I did not know that, and that's a failure of introducing the series engine in the pilot. That I didn't know where the series is gonna go at all.
But we don't know if they're elevating it, though. The first round of connections were kind of like, I see you, the camera spins, and it's the blonde girl, and the camera spins again. So we don't know if they're playing with the audience and or the two people are actually connecting. Then I feel like the second level, which O and I have seen with the fight sequence in Nairobi, was the first time we see them working together. So we don't know if maybe 3 more episodes down the line, because I don't know if you guys seen it, but I've seen some still pictures where they're all in the same room. I've seen that picture where they're all in the same room, and I think it's a gray black background.
I can't wait for that moment.
Exactly.
We're gigging on the pilot a lot here, and I want to say I liked this pilot, and I think this could be a great series. I'm just saying that technically the pilot's deficient in what, as screenwriters, we should be aiming for.
I think it's a perfect pilot for BBC.
Which actually makes a lot of sense, Christina, because BBC has a lot more of the mini series. They're traditionally in more of a mini series format. So
Torchwood wasn't running to give you everything away. You didn't even know he was bisexual till I think the second season or way deep in. So they slow burns.
Yeah, and that is the dirty little secret of the Netflix and the streaming studio series, is that they're all slow burns. I watched Bloodline. Did you guys watch Bloodline on Netflix?
I did start it, and
I've heard about this.
It's a slow burn, right, Olu?
I do Longmire, and that's a slow burn.
Empire?
No, Longmire.
Okay.
I was like, Empire is so quick.
Empire's real quick. That's network. They drop it on you.
Crack.
It was.
No offense.
In fact, I think Empire is a little too on the nose sometimes, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. This is like music. This is music industry King Lear. And then somebody on the show goes, "What is this, King Lear?" I was like, "Oh, jeez, why did you have to do that?" It's a little on the nose. That's the problem with network shows. So
here's the thing: you've got Sense8, you've got Empire, different markets. Oh my god!
Yeah, and different respect for an audience, right? An audience that you have to tell them everything that's going on, as opposed to a show like Bloodline on Netflix. They don't tell you anything. It's a really slow burn. Although I will say, Bloodline was worth it at the end. I haven't gotten that far yet. I will say that it was. It never becomes the kind of gratification you want, but the slow burn does come to some interesting things, and I really believe Sense8 is going to get there too.
I mean, I wasn't disappointed with the whole Matrix trilogy. I loved every single one, and I like where it landed.
I think they got a little weaker, but I liked where it landed too.
Exactly. I mean, because we got such a wonderful kitty, and that's another thing. They're good for an amazing opening premise, but can they sustain?
That's the challenge. I mean, the Matrix, the original Matrix, that feature film is top-notch screenwriting. It is fantastic. It's bulletproof all the way through to the end. And to be honest, that was back before the Wachowskis, were emperors and empress
when
with
they were brothers.
No clothes.
When they were brothers.
Well, yes,
had a great idea.
I was going to say when before they were emperors with no clothes, and people could the producers told them, your script needs to be tight, make it tight.
I have seen in my university There were classes that were the philosophy of Matrix. These
Yeah.
kids are brilliant. I'm
Yeah.
in awe of what they can do. That's the one reason why when I'm like,
A little bit
wah,
of
wah,
discipline. They need a little bit of discipline. I would, just to jet off to the right, the other brothers that have this problem are the Coen brothers. But
no, they can't do wrong.
the
La, la, la,
Coen
la, la.
brothers are
Or the
hit,
Andersons. La,
are
la.
every other movie. Every other movie the Coen
No, it's
brothers
every.
make
It's
is I'm talking about
one's a
script.
Hollywood, then one's a cult classic. The one's a Hollywood, the next a cult classic.
I'm talking about in terms of screenwriting. One movie is a tight script. Another movie is a really loose experimental one. Another movie is a tight script and really loose. And when they get it together, when they have a really tight script and a really deep emotional premise, they end up with No Country for Old Men, and they end up with Fargo. Fargo's screenplay is so tight. So I just hope the Wachowskis can.
So you're gonna do a podcast on the Coen brothers, yeah?
Sure, we should just pick a movie or when are the Coen brothers gonna do TV?
Wow.
Who knows? I heard
blown.
I heard Woody Allen's doing a TV series. So introduce a season objective in the planting of the seeds of the series finale. In the pilot, did we get a sense of what the season objective might be, Olu?
I think so. If it's people connecting through their senses, then yes.
I think so too. I think it has to do with the angel and the mom and
Is that her name?
I
Isn't it
disagree.
Angel?
That's so loose, dudes. Because if we have a straight
It's
protagonist, what's the protagonist's objective?
Well, we have eight protagonists. I'm talking about like a season objective for the show, right? That's one of the things we say needs to go into an original pilot is that we need to set up a question that's going to be answered by the end of the series.
Oh, Glee. Is everyone going to graduate? That's how loose that is.
No, Glee, are they going to make it to sectionals? Right? Is in Glee, is the team going to get disbanded by the football coach? But
you don't even know your antagonist that well so far.
In Sense8, yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know the forces that are going to do it. We do know that somebody's trying to stop the Sense8s. Or maybe, you're right. We don't know. We
keep her procreating, not keep her procreating, keep her controlled, not keep her controlled. We don't know.
Or just get invited to the party. Yeah, we don't know what the guy's pissed off about.
True, though. He's just like, don't kill yourself. We want you to have 8,000 more babies.
Don't do it.
That are mind melding.
Maybe he just wants like a second date. Like he met her on Tinder and.
See, we're poking fun because it wasn't clear. Isn't like you have a decisive no. It definitely at that point when he's like, oh, this is the stew that's going to be the remedy for world peace or world destruction. We don't have that. We don't have that.
No, and you make a great point. We're making fun because we don't have an answer. We don't have a clear season objective. We do know that it's going to be something to do with her death and that dude. But number 6 is introduce and complete an episode objective. Just a plot for each main character that resolves by the end of the episode. Do we have that?
And I say yes because they're introduced that there are a bunch of fucked up people that are connected. Oh. Nothing deeper than that.
I think I counted, and 4 of the plots are resolved. Half of them are resolved, and half of them aren't. Let me see. I took
counting locations.
I took a note on it. That the Nairobi is not resolved. The Japan is not resolved.
No.
In the pilot. Let's see what else is not resolved. Mexico City is not resolved. Everything that's international, not resolved.
The Indian ladies' call is not resolved.
No. That's right. Yes, call is not resolved. It's not really even opened. It opens.
Honestly, three for the Indian Mumbai. You don't even really see the real big, because she's like, oh, I don't love him. Yeah, that's a lot of marriages.
I guess that, but in a sense, that's the plot, right? I mean,
no,
in a sense,
it's deeper. Like the bigger problem with that one.
If you said the plot for Kala is I have a happy life, and then the episode out is I actually have a big problem, you could say her plot gets resolved. But the plot,
no,
let's give them some slack.
Let's give those cities. Mumbai. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
No,
I'm saying
Mumbai is a bigger problem because when you see what her ethics are and what her fiance's ethics are, you get twisted in the fourth episode. Then you see the real big problem.
Structurally,
but you don't get any of that until the fourth episode.
If you've got 8 plots and you resolve 4 of them in the pilot, I'm fine with that because there's a lot of work to do. You've decided there are 4 main plots and then there's 4 minor plots, and you will resolve those later.
That's a good point. Who are you calling the majors and who are you calling the minors?
So I didn't call them. They just decided to resolve the cop. Right, the Will from Chicago. Mm-hmm. They decided to resolve the safe cracker, who is Wolfgang from Germany. They decided to resolve the DJ a little bit.
The massacre in the apartment suite.
Yeah. I mean, it resolved the story to some degree. She starts out where she's DJing and she meets these guys, and it ends up in a massacre, and she's on the drug. But it introduces her to Will, the cop from Chicago. So at least it was for a reason. Oh, and they didn't resolve Nomi, the trans woman from San Francisco. So it's 3 out of 5 get resolved. I mean, it's still pretty good. We have to acknowledge there's a huge challenge when you try to do an ensemble series, plot-wise. Number 7, introduce series conventions. Implant the recurring details and mechanisms that the series will use over and over again and make it unique.
Yep.
Did we get some series conventions, guys? What's a series convention for Series 8?
I have no idea.
Something that gets used again and again.
All I see is like the switching of characters and spots. Like I call it the camera circle.
Yeah.
That seems like it happens so much. Like I feel like they have a circular dolly on set that just like swirls the camera around, swaps out.
And they're telling the actor, all right, get out of the frame. Okay, no, get back in the frame.
Yeah.
And then get back in the frame. Get out of the frame. Get back in the frame. In CSI, they created the CSI shot, so it's sort of like the Sense8 camera circle shot.
I feel like I was the line producer. I would probably be like over, because I'm assuming, because they keep saying, oh, we do it in Nairobi, oh, we do it here, but a lot of these are kind of on premise. A lot of the shots, like, oh, we have to fly that actress to Nairobi for her shots, and then back to Iceland or London for her shots. I would cry if I were a line producer on this. I would cry like a girl.
The transitions are really, they could do something really interesting with the transitions from one place to another. They could just do cinematic transitions where one person opens a door on a doorknob and then we cut to Nairobi doorknob, or one person gets on a bus in Nairobi and then we cut to Wolfgang getting off a bus in Germany. Even though they have nothing to do with each other, we're trying to go for a visual connectedness thing. Sure. What they do in Sense8 is they just cut and they do an exterior of Nairobi and they say Nairobi on the bottom of the screen, which makes it feel like an epic action movie instead of an interconnected drama. So,
like I said, I still say that the pull me back moment was the fight sequence. The fight sequence in Nairobi. That was a pull me back, and all is not lost. And I think it's probably amazing.
That's not in the pilot. That was probably episode 2. Yeah.
3. Yeah.
3. Okay. So the only great moments I've found in the pilot that made me pull back were the DJ and the safecracker finally connecting on the dial. And then
that was a stunning moment.
I liked that. And then Nomi, who's the DJ, traveling to the cop showing up and finally proving, they are connected. This show is going to have some interesting sci-fi stuff to it.
Or that glitch that happened with the camera when the cop lost like the 2 hours of footage, or night to daytime. It was like a skip where his partner was like, yeah, there is something weird there. I was like, yeah, I'm digging that. It kind of has a sixth sense. If we're talking about senses, kind of like that trippy, like, did I see that done? What it totally reminded me of? Paranormal Activity. Kind of like that jump in camera, like you're looking at a camera, and then like 1 second, the time lapse of a camera.
Okay.
Because now that's a very popular thing.
While we're on it, Olu, strongest moments or favorite moments from the pilot, or whichever you can remember that you like.
Let's see. There was a brief moment when a chicken crossed the desk of the Asian chick, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was great.
The chicken, because the chicken is the guy from Nairobi.
Right. Yeah, it was a chicken that he was given as payment for the bus.
I love that.
Interesting setup and payoff. Interesting setup and payoff. Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, one of the great things you can experiment with a series like this is great payoffs like that. You set something up in an earlier episode, you pay it off later. All the interconnectedness sets up really great plot payoffs that you can do all the time. Again, I guess we're more challenged in the character department. Number 8, the last thing on the pilot checklist, is a cliffhanger closing that kicks off the series. Reveals that there's much more drama to be explored. At the end of the pilot, did we get a cliffhanger closing that kicks off the series?
What was the ending? I don't remember.
I'm about 2 seconds ahead of you there. She was walking up rocks. It was the moment. Yeah, we did. It was that moment when she was on drugs. Mm-hmm. The blonde.
The DJ.
And she connected to the cop. And that's when she took the drug, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, and everything got slow. And then you realize when we went into his world, he was in the cop car. He had a bit of a slow-mo. Everything his partner said to him was slow-mo. And they went into the church and they connected.
And she's there.
That was the first real big connection.
Oh, that's a series convention. Using the slow-mo at the end of an episode to show the camera circle connectedness. Oh, it's the same kind of thing though with the camera circle. But yeah, that was an interesting ending. They ended it with
those two people. They talked in the church where Daryl Hannah had her moment, and then they kind of landed like a super hard land, a good kind of face-off land, because then she came back because there was the shootout with the blood, and that's how they landed the pilot. Yeah,
I mean, we still don't know where the series is going to go, but it was kind of a kickoff. I mean, in terms of a cliffhanger, in terms of a cliffhanger closing, I mean, this show opens up so many questions that it doesn't answer in the pilot. Why don't we just go around and talk about, in summary, our favorite thing about the show and our least favorite thing about the show? And I'll go first so that you guys have time to think about it. My biggest strength of the show is the possibility, and we spoke about this earlier, the possibility of interconnecting these characters' conflicts with help from each other. Like these moments that we talked about where the DJs helps the safecracker, and the Japanese businesswoman with her martial arts helps the Kenyan bus driver. I think that's a great concept, and it's a plot mechanism that integrates their dramas in this magical, sci-fi wish fulfillment way. When we as human beings, when we go through adversity, we wish we could reach out to our friends and family. We do, right? That's how we get support. We reach out to our friends and family for help during tough times, but we wish we could reach out to the best person in the world at what we're doing to phone a friend to fight some kung fu or to pass the math test or something like that. You wish you were interconnected, and so that's a really great sort of sci-fi wish fulfillment mechanism that I think the show could play off of, and I look forward to more of that. I think the weakness of the show is on the character side, spending a lot of time servicing plot development. One of the problems with Cloud Atlas was that they did 7 or 8 plots, and there was a lot of great character in there that didn't get serviced because they were spending all this time on the plot. And I hope, with 10 or is it 12 episodes, Sense8, or 10? I think it's
12.
12. With 12 episodes, maybe have more time to explore character. I do want to write a third thing. I overall was happy with the treatment of the transgender character in this series, even though we dissected it a lot earlier. But overall, I thought it was well done.
But I would say that one of the things that I'm really excited about moving forward not only is the way that the characters are going to interact and phone a friend, but also I am really interested in the big baddie story. I just really want to know about the villain. I think he's going to be really cool. And I'm really excited to see where that takes us and how that brings in the other possible Sense8s in the world. So I'm curious to see what that other part of the universe looks like outside of this particular circle of 8.
And what's at stake? What is the big conspiracy that they're fighting over, right? Right.
And I guess, like you said earlier, the downside was the character development. I think I went in not knowing much about the press around the trans character or anything, but just being really excited that there were so many characters from all over. So I really just don't want them to be terrible stereotypes of these places that we already are aware of. I just really want more.
Right on.
Christina?
I am super, super, super amped for the connection of characters, not the juxtapose, putting them in your place. You're in my apartment, I'm in your apartment. But when they connect and they say, help me, and they use each other or they connect to each other to help move their own stories forward, I love that. I love that. What I think is maybe kind of missing right now that I hope it kind of broadens out is kind of the reactionary situation of that. Like right now, if I'm in O's apartment, the whole freak out in my being of being in your apartment, I don't know that that's quite there yet. If I were in Nairobi right now with a gun in my hand, even if I am a cop, I would still be a little nervous.
You know what?
I'd be why am I in Nairobi?
The last thing I want in this series is people teleporting around. Okay? That is so boring to me. I love the idea of them lending them emotional strength, into information maybe, and then their own gifts and superpowers. That works for me. If people start teleporting around Sense8, I'm going to be bored.
We didn't even comment on that because the funny thing is, and the people that write this hear this podcast. And I both talked about how cool it was that the Nairobi gentlemen and the Asian women connected to work together. But we actually didn't bring up the fact that actually the cop was there too with a gun in that same scene.
He was?
Remember?
Oh, right, he was.
So it was a three-way.
It was
a three-way
connection.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you could do up to 8. They could go there, man.
He was drop kicked in. He didn't talk to either of them. Again, it was a juxtapose.
And he watched
for a few seconds, and he took 2 shots because he was at the rifle range or the gun range. But the real connection.
Wait, did the bullets come through?
The bullets actually hit the drug lord's truck because the white guy was not. But
so
he never talked to the black guy. The black guy actually talked to the Asian woman and said, "Help me." That's what resonated with us. It resonated when he actually connected to her and said, "I need your help."
Yes.
Not the fact of just being in someone's place or transporting, but actually connecting and getting help.
There's so much good stuff. As long as they don't fully teleport places, I'm going to be great with it. I like the idea of bullets going through. That's cool. because it's just an extension of the cop's gift of being, you being a crime fighter. So
Yeah, but we took the gift of the Asian woman, but there was a real human connection. He asked her for help. He saw her. He was in the ring. He knew he was getting his butt kicked. She took that on. She fought. When you see it, we'll have a follow-up to this podcast about that sequence, because that sequence says a lot about what we want as audience member. Do we want teleporting or do we want a connection? We're showing you the connection resonated. The teleporting was an add-on. And it happened before the actual connection.
And I'd also say that it was like set up really well too with the whole chicken scene in the first episode. Like we knew they were connected, and for them to actually like make that very explicit in that calling for help was just so awesome. So it was like the beginning of a relationship that we knew was coming. Okay,
when is this scene? This is episode 4?
3.
It's in 3. Okay. So what you guys are talking about has emotionally, in terms of character development, this is such a powerful device. What Sense8 is creating here is, in terms of character, is it's touching on this notion of strangers helping each other, strangers understanding each other, and reaching out to help each other. And that is such a fantastic theme, that we're all interconnected is one, Ubuntu, like we're all connected kind of thing is very abstract. But in the way Sense8 is doing it, where these strangers are actually emotionally connected, physically connected to each other's deepest, toughest moments, and then are reaching out to help them. That's goosebump moment for me. I love that. Like, please, more of that. That's where this series could really succeed. I'm
going to give one last shout out to the Wachowskis, because if they're totally doing a Matrix mind meld on us, and that total scene was saying, this is the way Hollywood does it. The white cop and the black guy with the gun. And then this is the way we do it. The connection with the black guy and the Asian woman. They could be schooling us in a deeper way.
Maybe. I believe in them. I think I love their work. I think this series could go well. There was a couple of good things about the pilot, but there's a couple of things to watch out for screenwriters who are trying to write pilots. So I think we got to leave it there. Guys, thank you so much, Christina and Olu. This is The Script, the official podcast of the NYC Screenwriters Collective. The Script is produced by Jordan Rosengarten and David Negrin. You can email, fan mail, hate mail, comments, questions, or proclamations to scriptfeed@gmail.com. Join our Facebook page, our Google Plus page by searching for NYC Screenwriters Collective. You can follow us on Twitter @ScriptFeed. If you live in New York City, please sign up for one of our workshops on meetup.com or at www.screenwriterscollective.org.